Evening, everybody. Welcome to my market wrap for Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. It was a flattish to mixed session today. Stocks going up 103 points at the high in the Dow Jones Industrial Average to closing ostensibly what I would call unchanged today. There was a OPEC meeting where they decided to cut production about by 900,000 barrels of oil per day. That created a spike in the oil markets, with West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude both being up over 8% today on the session. This is what you would call a divergence, where the Dow goes up a point, but the rest of the market is sharply lower. And this is what we call a divergent market. Okay, and you look at why was the Dow up a point? Well, Goldman Sachs gave 40 points to the Dow. If you know the Dow or any index is just an average of share prices. Okay, so the Dow is what, 30 stocks, and then you take them and then you either use a multiplier or divisor to get to the final point. Okay, so one company gave about 40 points to the Dow. If it wasn't for Goldman Sachs being up as much as it was today, the Dow would have been negative by about 60 points to follow the rest of the market. So you cannot necessarily always take that as saying, oh, well, it was just unchanged. Not necessarily. This is why you got to look at the broader indices. So let's continue on. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up 1.98 points, or 0.01%, to 19,123.58. The NASDAQ Composite closed down 56.24 points, or 1.05%, to 5323.68. The S&P 500 closed down 5.85 points, or 0.27%, to 2198.81. The small cap Russell 2000 closed down 4.54 points, or 0.34%, to 1323.68. Over in Japan, the Nikkei 225 closed up 1.44 points, or 0.01%, to 18,308.48. And over in Europe, the FTSE 100 in England closed up 11.79 points to 6783.79, or up 0.17%. Looking at the broader indices, the NASDAQ 100 index, the triple Qs, closed down 62.40 points to 4810.81, or down 1.28%. The S&P Mid-Cap 400 closed down 1.04 points, or down 0.06%, to close at 1630.07. The S&P Small Cap 600 Index closed down 2.10 points, or down 0.26%, to 812.32. The NYSE Composite closed up for 1.46 points, brain fart, or 0.038%, to 10,859.15. The XAU, the Gold and Silver Index, closed down 1.02 points to 87.27. I'm sorry, wrong line. To 79.87, or 1.25% on the downside. The SOX Index, the Semiconductor Index, closed down 3.41 points, or 0.39%, to 581.84. And the VIX, the Volatility Index, closed up 0.28 points to 13.18, or 2.09%. Looking at market internals today, heavy volume. On the New York Stock Exchange, total share volume 5.431 billion shares traded, of which 3.072 billion was advancing, 2.29 was declining, and 62 million was unchanged. Looking over at the NASDAQ stock market, 2 billion shares traded, of which $633 billion was advancing, 633 million was advancing, 1.355 billion was declining, and 18 million shares were unchanged. Looking over at the NYSE market or the AMEX, total share volume, 137 million shares traded, of which 70 million advancing, 63 million declining, and 2.9 million unchanged. Looking at the advanced decline line or market breadth on the New York Stock Exchange, 1,192 issues were advancing, 1,838 were declining, and 87 were unchanged. Looking at the NASDAQ stock market, 1,011 issues were advancing, 1,825 were declining, and 160 issues were unchanged. Looking over at the NYSE market or AMEX, 131 issues were advancing, 186 declining, 24 issues were unchanged. Looking over at the currency complex, it's all versus the US dollar. The euro, last trade, 10.598, down 0.0052. The yen, 114.39, up 2.01. The English pound, my favorite currency of all, at 1.25.12, up 00.20. Australian dollar, 0.7382, down 0.0103, and the Swiss franc is at 1.0165, up 0.0049. Looking at the commodities complex, touched on this earlier. West Texas Intermediate crude, last trade 49.14, up 3.91, or 8.64%. Looking at Brent crude, 50.45, up 4.07, or 8.78%. Looking at the price of gold, down 16.2 to 1174.60, down 1.36%. Looking at silver, 16.560, down 1.80, or down 0.180, excuse me. It's a rough day, guys. I'm quite sick. Down 1.08%. Looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Future, up 19, or up 0.1%. Looking at the S&P 500 Future, down 5.25 to 2198.50, or 0.24%. And the last price on the Dow Jones, because I just omitted it, 19,134. Looking at the 10-year bond, down 25/32 of a point, yield to maturity, 2.382%. I apologize for some of the errors. I want to make this as unedited, as raw as possible. We're all human. I'm fighting a massive cold. I appreciate your patronage and listening, and I hope that you found this information useful. If you have any comments, please comment. And please share and subscribe to my channel and support me on Patreon. Links in the description. All of you have a wonderful night. And I want to close and say, never give up on your dream. Keep persevering and fighting every day. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Just remember that. Never give up the fight. I'll talk to you guys soon. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.